Hello! We are in a series about getting relationships right. For a lot of you, this is the message you've been waiting for because today we're going to talk about dating. Now, before we dive in, can we be honest? It's really messy out there. Like, nobody actually knows what they're doing. It's dysfunctional. Like, just the other day, I was hanging out in a lunchroom and I was talking with this beautiful girl who was just bright and she has the most outgoing personality. She has so many friends. And every week I talk with her, she's telling me about a different guy that she likes. And this week she was telling me that, yeah, I had this guy and I wanted to date him so bad that I even told him, like, hey, you can cheat on me. I don't care. Just date me. And when I heard that, I was heartbroken. Because she didn't even know that she was worthy of someone being faithful. And my fear is that there are so many of you out there trying to figure out dating on your own. And that's leaving you to just go along with what everyone else is doing or try to learn from social media or shows that are only meant to entertain you, not teach you. And it's just leading to more and more heartache, more dysfunction, less marriages, and more broken homes. But what if I told you that dating could be very different? That your dating relationships don't have to be messy. That they could even be life-giving. And that God actually cares about your dating relationships because he really cares about how you treat others, but also he really cares about you. So today, I just want to be your favorite Aunt Allison. Like, I want to dive into this with you and I want to talk about it. Like, can we really talk about it? And my hope is that by the end of this, you would see God's love for you and his desire for you to have good relationships, especially dating relationships. Sound good? First, let's start with the fact that the Bible never specifically talks about dating. In fact, that term wasn't even used until 1897. So if you've been scrambling, like reading through, trying to find the rules about dating in the Bible, like thou shalt open her door, or thou shalt not break up with him via Snapchat, like is not in there. You won't find it. But what you will find is God's design for you to be in a relationship with him and how we are called to treat people. In fact, we're going to look at today that a healthy dating relationship is one that honors God and is good for the other person. Let me say that again. A healthy dating relationship is one that both honors God and is good for the other person. And there are so many examples of people who got this right in the Bible. And there are just as many examples of people who got this wrong. Today, we're going to look at someone who got it wrong. Really wrong. His name is David. Now, for some of you, it might be weird to talk about David getting it wrong because he was the guy who was supposed to get it right. You see, God was looking for someone after his own heart. So God picked David and took him from being this forgotten shepherd boy and set him as king over all of his people. And David loved God. And he worshiped him with all that he was. He stayed faithful to God even when he had a lot of victories and slaying a giant and winning battles. And he stayed faithful to God when he was mistreated, alone, and accused. See, David kept God first for his whole life until David didn't. And this is where we pick up David's story in 2 Samuel chapter 11. It says this starting in verse 1. It says, in the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, David sent Joab out with the king's men and the whole Israelite army. They destroyed the Amorites and besieged Rabbah. But David remained in Jerusalem. One evening, David got up from his bed and walked around on the roof of the palace. From the roof, he saw a woman bathing. The woman was very beautiful. And David sent someone to find out about her. The man said, she is Bathsheba, the daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite. Then David sent messengers to get her. She came to him, and he slept with her. It goes on to say that then she went back home. The woman conceived and sent word to David saying, I am pregnant. Okay, pause. This is really messed up. And I would like to tell you that from here, David goes and he does the right thing. Like he comes clean and he makes it right. But that's not what happened. No, David's first response is to cover up. And so he brings Bathsheba's husband, Uriah, back from the war to try to cover his tracks. But when that doesn't work, David has Uriah killed. I mean, think about it. This feels like a soap opera. The king meets a girl, he sleeps with her, he gets her pregnant, and then now he has her husband killed and he marries her. But this isn't a show. This is David's real life. So, how did the guy who loved God and was appointed to be God's representative, to care for God's people, get it so wrong? I think it's because he moved God as first in his heart and he replaced him with something else. Think about it. Not once was David thinking about God. He wasn't even thinking about Bathsheba. I mean, he was like thinking about Bathsheba, but he wasn't thinking about what was good for her or the devastation that this would bring in her life. And he certainly wasn't thinking about Uriah. No, he was only thinking about his comfort and his desires. And the truth is that if David can get this relationship so wrong, so can we. No, you may not kill somebody, but when we stop letting God be at the center of our heart, our actions can lead us to dishonor God and hurt others. So before you date, or as you get ready, or you're thinking about a dating relationship, here's my first question for you. What has your heart right now? Because whatever has your heart has you. And let me tell you, if that there is something or someone other than God in the center of your heart, this relationship you want won't work. So be honest. What is it? What has your heart right now? Why do you even want to date? Is it because everyone else is and you're tired of being laughed out? Are you wanting to feel worthy and hoping that someone will just like you? Are you lonely and you just want someone? Or does lust have your heart right now? Do you only want to be with them because of how they look or what they can do for you? Or do you genuinely want to honor God in this relationship and treat that person well? See, most of us, when we get into a relationship, we're only looking to meet our needs. And that's the problem. Because one, it makes that relationship all about us. And the second thing is that that person can't meet your needs. Sure, it feels like they can. We're told that they can. They'll get rid of my loneliness. They'll make me feel worthy. They'll meet this desire. And at the beginning, it really feels like they do. But then reality starts to set in and we're still longing and it's not enough. And so we think, okay, it must be them. If I just had somebody else, maybe someone better looking, then that'll work. And so we just move on to the next person and the next person and the next and so on. And by the end of it, we're still looking and we're still empty. But the truth is that they can't meet your needs. Only God can. Only He can heal your loneliness, fix your hurts, and love you unconditionally. Only He will never leave you or forsake you. You see, only Jesus satisfies. And when He is at the center of your heart is whole. But when we try to move from God to other things and other people, we're always left empty and we just end up causing pain. So, as you date or before you date, to have a healthy relationship, first we have to stop and check our heart. Why do you even want to date? The second thing we need to do if we want to have a healthy dating relationship is to set good boundaries. Okay, think back to David's story. You know what this man of God did not have? boundaries. You see, if he had, none of this would have happened. In fact, he wasn't even supposed to be there. Like, look back, starting in verse 1. What does it say? It says, in the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, David sent Joab and the king's men and the whole Israelite army, and they went and did the thing, but David stayed in Jerusalem. Where was King David supposed to be? He's supposed to be off at war. But he let himself, take a break, get some self-care. Maybe he just wanted to be comfortable. And he ended up sending off all his accountability, and he was left alone. You see, he set himself up to fail because he had no boundaries. So as you date, before you even start dating, my question for you is, what are your boundaries? What are the things that you have set in place to keep you honoring God and treating others well on dates, online, in what you watch, in what you read, in your private chats, and what you share? Like, what are your boundaries, especially when you are hurting or lonely or bored? And if you're sitting here like, I don't know. I've never even thought about it. And the truth is as a student, neither had I. I mean, I knew the whole, God didn't want me to have sex before marriage thing, but I had never thought about boundaries. Until at Switch, my youth pastor talked about it. He talked about it like this. It was just like, hey, if there's this line that you don't want to cross, think of it like a cliff. Like, you wouldn't go up to the edge of a cliff and stick your toes over. No, you would fall. No, what do? You back up. You give yourself space. You put boundaries in place so you don't cross the line. And in the middle of that message, I felt like God spoke to me. And I decided to give God this area of my life. So prayerfully, I thought about what I would and wouldn't do in a relationship, what I would and wouldn't do on dates, what I would and wouldn't share. And I set my boundaries. Listen to me again. Hear it again. I set my boundaries. I set my boundaries. Not my parents, not my leaders. No, I set my own boundaries. And honestly, my boundaries were a lot stricter than anyone else would have set for me. But because I set them and I believed in them, I kept them. And all this happened back when I was 16 years old. And then fast forward to last year, I got married at the age of 32. And if you're doing the math, that is 16 years of walking with God single and trying to figure out how to date. And yeah, God's plan was a lot different than my plan. But honestly, if I had to, I would wait all over again. See, because now I'm living in the fruit of trusting God. And I have a healthy, God-centered relationship, all because of it. And all I can tell you is that only Jesus satisfies, and that God's way is so much better. You see, you'll never regret trusting God, but you will always regret when you don't. And looking back, if I had to go back, if I had to set them all over again, because I got some things right and I got some things wrong, I would change the example of the cliff. It's good not to fall off, but it's usually to answer that question of as Christians, we ask, how far is too far? How much can I do with this person before it's sin? Which isn't a bad question. It's just not the best question. See, now if setting my boundaries, I don't think about, hey, what's going to keep me from falling off the cliff? Now I think of it more like a tether. See, these boundaries are the thing that keep me tied to God. And God and I are on this adventure together. And on this adventure, I want to be as close to Him as possible. that I know that I'm not going to fall off because I've got boundaries in place that don't just keep me from sin, but keep me close to Him. And so now when I'm setting my boundaries, I don't ask the question, how far is too far? See, now I ask myself the question, what would honor God the most? And whatever that is, whatever honoring God the most is, I do that and I don't do the other thing. Because a healthy dating relationship is one that is both honoring to God and is good for the other person. So, in dating, as you think about dating, what are your boundaries? Think about them now, before you even date. Set good physical boundaries in what you watch and what you send when you're alone, what you do with that person. Define it. Tell somebody, have them hold you accountable. And then set good emotional boundaries. Because listen, people don't talk about this, but this can mess you up because our emotions are tied to our heart. And the more that we emotionally entangle ourselves with these other people, the more they have your heart. And let's just see so many of you out there going too deep, too fast. You're out there sharing your deepest secrets and your dreams with someone you only met a week ago. And in your mind, you're like planning together, like we're going to be together forever and this is going to be great and this is all I need. And you haven't even stopped to figure out if they're a good person yet. And you wonder why you're so devastated when it doesn't work out. See, Proverbs 4:23 says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. So, how do we have healthy dating relationships? Remember, a healthy dating relationship is one that honors God and is good for others. Before we jump in, first, you got to check your heart. Evaluate your motives. Are you dating to honor God and do good? Or are you dating to have someone meet your need? Why do you want to date? And then set your boundaries. Have clear physical and emotional boundaries. What would honor God the most? And then once you figure them out, be upfront and talk about it with the person you want to date. And if you're scared, okay, what if they don't want to do that? What if they leave me? What if they don't want to date me? Listen to me. Let them go. They ain't the right one. Because if they don't honor you, they won't honor your God. And if they don't live a life that honors God, they won't honor you. It won't work. Let them go. And if you're here, I just want to take a second to talk to the person who maybe you realize that you have not been dating this way. Maybe you've hurt people, or you're sitting here going, well, that's great, but I've already gone way too far. I just want you to know that there's hope for you. Because David really messed up. He shifted his heart from God to his own comfort and desires, and a lot of people got hurt. And honestly, he didn't even think he did anything wrong. No, he hid it, and then he didn't miss a wink of sleep over it. But God knew what David had done. And he knew who he had called David to be. So in his love for David, God sent the prophet Nathan to call David out and to show him his sin. And when David fully realized the weight of the pain that he had caused, his response was deep sorrow. And in that, he turned back to God. And God forgave David, and he restored him. And let me tell you, God can do the same for you. That there is nothing that you've done that can stop God's love from reaching you. And if you've gotten it wrong, you can still turn back to Him. And you can let Him be first in your heart. You can let Him meet your deepest needs and date in a way that both honors Him and is good for the other person. God, we thank you so much that you love us, that you want us to have good, healthy relationships. God, we can't do it without you. Would you show us? Would you check our heart right now, God? Show us, are you first or is it something else? God, would you lead us to the boundaries you would set in place for us, not to keep us from doing something wrong, God, but more importantly, to give us life. We love you, Jesus, and we ask that you would be at the center of our relationships in Jesus' name. Amen.
The greatest calling of our lives is to love God with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love others the same way Jesus says. So don't wait. Learn more about how to get it right in relationships by checking out this playlist here.